What's up and welcome to My Point of View. I am your fat and opinionated host, and I think we talked about this before. But oftentimes when it comes to cases like the case that we've been looking at in Idaho with the Idaho 4, oftentimes the suspect returns to the scene of the crime. Now we know that Bryan's phone was pinged by their house at least a dozen times that we know of. He was watching them for months. But we also know that between the time of 9:12 and 9:21 a.m. on the morning that the Idaho 4 was killed, Bryan returned to that house. His phone was pinged right in the area, driving around. Now, because that was 9:12, that little window between 9:12 and 9:21, that was well before anyone had even called 911. And Bryan was already back at the scene just a mere hours later after he allegedly did what he did. But did he ever return again? While investigators were at the home and the house became a spectacle, did Bryan ever ride past to get a look? As news outlets gathered and camera crews set up, did Bryan ever allow his curiosity to bring him back to that area, to just see what was going on, to witness the madness, the madhouse that he had allegedly created? Well, Fox News is now reporting that they believe he did, and they believe they have his vehicle on video driving by the scene. Let's go ahead and check out this clip, and then I'll be right back with my thoughts. Is that Bryan's vehicle or is that not Bryan's vehicle? Fox News seems to think that it is. Personally, who knows? It could be anyone, but it would not surprise me if it's Bryan. I think that Bryan would have had a hard time not going back around that area while, this house was gaining so much attention, nationwide news coverage. I think Bryan would have loved to see what was going on there. And in my mind, I'm wondering, how do you defend a lot of this stuff in court? I think the obvious excuse they would use for maybe Bryan's phone being pinged in the area after this happened is, oh, look at Bryan's studies. Bryan's studying criminology. Look at his education. Look at his background. Of course, someone who is into the type of stuff that Bryan's into, of course, they may be curious about an active crime scene a few miles away from home. So I feel like there's a lot of excuses the defense could bring up. I know that no one wants to talk about DM. And listen, I know a lot of you all may not know much about me on this channel, but over on my main channel, I've been basically battling against a lot of these true crime YouTubers that attack families. They attack, the friends and families of victims. They point fingers and they blame everyone and all of that crazy stuff. Trust me, over on my main channel, I go at it with these people all the time. But I still think that there's a place to ask healthy questions as adults without attacking anyone and placing blame on random people and stuff like that. So regardless of how you feel about the DM situation, Bryan's legal defense is going to tear that story apart. So I feel like they're going to, for one, with the sheath, they're going to say that it was lost or stolen or something like that. With DM and her account of seeing Bryan, they're going to tear that story apart, just like people are tearing it apart online. So if you think people are going hard on her online, just wait until the trial, if it comes to that. You know, and I'm not saying that she deserves that. I don't think anyone should be attacking anyone here, unless it's Bryan, you know? But, I mean, that's just the reality of the facts. Just because people are too sensitive to discuss things online, that's not how things work in court, okay? There's not going to be anything sensitive about this trial and about the questions that are asked, and things are going to get downright mean, ugly, and dirty. And Bryan's legal defense team will take it there. And if you've been paying attention, then you see that they're already mounting up an incredible defense for Bryan. They got private investigators out there for Bryan. And I can tell you right now, they're already coming up with excuses for all of the evidence that has been put out there so far. But I believe there is a lot more evidence that we don't know about. You have to understand that investigators and law enforcement, they don't have to put out everything right in the beginning. They just need to put out enough to they need to put out enough so it's known that there's enough to take them into custody. They don't have to give every key detail and every piece of evidence they know. They have to present enough information and enough evidence to show that they have enough to make it an arrest. So there's tons more stuff that I would assume they have. And I know everyone thought that, these law enforcement agencies, that they weren't doing their job or whatnot, but they actually got Bryan pretty quickly. And I think they kind of honed in on Bryan way quicker and way sooner than any of us thought. So they got a lot of stuff, okay? A lot of stuff. But I also think Bryan's legal defense team, they're going to have some solid explanations and excuses for some of the evidence that they have against Bryan. We're going to have to see how this plays out. But all in all, if that was Bryan's vehicle, that's definitely creepy. And it shows you how obsessive he is. I do believe that if Bryan stalked that house and cased that house for months, then yeah, I damn sure believe that he returned a few times after he did what he did, or he did what he's alleged of doing. Let me know your thoughts, though, down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and as always, remain opinionated.